This is Steve. Steve lives in a normal house with his family in Phoenix, Arizona. Little does he know that his house is extremely susceptible to catching on fire. A house fire is catastrophic and can seriously injure Steve and the rest of his family. House fires are the #1 disaster threat in America. American ingenuity has already invented and established ways of preventing and reducing house fires quickly and efficiently. The fire department, fire extinguishers, and smoke detectors have been vital to stopping fires and lowering the number of house fire-related injuries. In America, firefighters are modern-day heroes. Jason Kenders is one of the heroes who serves in Phoenix.
My name is Jason Kenders. I'm with the Phoenix Fire Department. I've been with them for 21 years.
Before we can focus on decreasing injuries from house fires, we need to understand the root cause of most injuries in a burning building.
Well, most people think it's burns from the fire itself, but actually it's smoke inhalation. And what happens is the gases and the combustibles get floating in the air and cause thick smoke, and it's a superheated gas. And when people breathe that in, it damages their lungs. And a person has as little as 2 breaths before their lungs are so damaged that they won't survive.
So the smoke and superheated gases caused by the fire are actually the primary cause of injury, rather than the flames themselves, because the lungs are easily and quickly burned, causing fatality. What equipment does a firefighter have to combat against the danger of breathing superheated gases as he goes into a fire?
Well, firefighters are equipped with what's called a self-contained breathing apparatus. It's similar to a scuba tank, but it's not underwater. So SCBA is what we call it. And that contains compressed air, not oxygen. Some people think it's oxygen. And we can stay in a fire as long as 30 minutes.
Would it be possible to modify the SCBA to create something for home use that could become as commonplace as a fire extinguisher, with something like a CPR mask with a small bottle of compressed air attached to it? Give a victim in a house fire more time to escape.
I think that's a good idea. When people are caught in a house fire, it would have to be something readily available to them. It would have to be a sealed mask to go over their nose and their mouth, but I think having something like that would be beneficial.
The other people who are involved in preventing injuries are firefighters. How safe are they when going into a house fire?
All firefighters have been injured in one way or another. One of the most common things is to have your skin burned, either by heat or by steam. Many times I've had my ears burned and my nose burned, and shoulders and arms and around your wrist where there's lack of coverage.
Firefighters aren't invincible superheroes. They're human too. Even with all of their equipment, they're still very vulnerable to the effects of the fire. They place themselves in harm's way every day, risking their lives for the communities they serve. Many of these men and women are married and have families. If we can improve their equipment in order to better protect them, it would prevent injury to them and the people they save. What challenges do firefighters face when going into a fire? One of them is communication.
Communication is kind of tough inside of a fire. When you're in a fire, it's really loud, and talking isn't really possible. So a lot of hand gestures, a lot of pulling on your coats or your air bottles, directing people where to go is kind of how we communicate. We also have been equipped with an intercom system, more like an amplifier for our voice that hooks to our air mask. But even that isn't the best technology.
If a headset was added to the mask of firefighters and a separate radio frequency designated just for the crew, firefighters could more easily communicate with each other inside the fire.
It would be helpful to have some sort of maybe radio communication amongst the 3 or 4 of us that are in there to help us talk to each other.
Another issue firefighters encounter when fighting fires is a large amount of equipment they have to carry.
When you're in a fire, you're usually pulling a hose in or carrying tools to help you accomplish your job. But we also have newer technology, a thermal imaging camera that you have to hold in one hand, which is cumbersome.
If every firefighter had a thermal imaging system on their person, they could assess and act in real time according to what they could see through the thermal imager. But how could we take this device out of the firefighter's hands? One way would be to put it inside every firefighter's mask. A heads-up display would allow firefighters to see how hot the building is, identify life forms, and recognize danger.
I think that would be valuable technology in the fact that you're not utilizing one of your hands to hold that. More people would have more hands to do more work.
What else can we do to reduce injuries from house fires? Historically, education is one of the best tools for conquering any problem.
I really think the Learn Not to Burn program that was developed by the fire department many years ago, where it starts young in the classroom and teaches kids about dangers of fires and how to prevent fires. I think that's been probably the single most effective tool that we've used to help prevent fires and injuries in fires.
The Learn Not to Burn program was created over 40 years ago and was focused on reducing the number of house fires and house fire injuries caused by young children. Maybe it's time for an additional, more in-depth expansion of the Learn Not to Burn program that is geared towards children ages 2nd through 6th grade. This would provide further education about house fires and how to prevent them. It would also encourage house fire awareness in both the younger generation and the parents of these children.
I think that's a great idea. There are several areas that need education. I think one would be overloading circuits in your home. We've seen many times where people have plugged in power strips to other power strips to get more receptacles, and that definitely is a cause of many house fires. I think also educating people about dryer lint and dryer fires, not to run your dryer at night or when you leave. The lint builds up and people don't clean them properly. There's been an average of 6,000 to 7,000 house fires a year caused by dryer fires alone.
By teaching these simple preventative measures, Learn Not to Burn 2 could prevent thousands of house fires each year and thus reduce injuries and save lives. In summary, our team proposes 4 ideas to prevent house fires and related injuries. First, educate with Learn Not to Burn 2. Second, create a thermal imager in each firefighter's mask, making them safe and more productive while in a fire. Third, add a built-in headset to enable quick and audible communication between firefighters inside a house fire. Fourth, create a modified CPR mask with a compressed air supply to protect residents' lungs from injury while exiting a fire. House fires are a serious problem. We should do everything we can to protect those caught in house fires and those courageously fighting them. If implemented, these proposed changes and modifications to house equipment, fire department equipment, and education could greatly reduce the number of injuries caused by house fires today, protecting Steve and his family in the future.